Welcome to the quietest ones in the room with your host, Trey. I gotta say it, just the mere fact that you've clicked onto this video and you are listening to the sound of my voice, you by far are the most intelligent people on the face of the planet. So once again, thank you for joining me. Tariffs. Yes, let's talk about tariffs. But before we do, I want to mention the video I did yesterday and how it ties somewhat into the conversation I want to have today. Yesterday, I discussed the concept, the reality of financing groceries or starving. And as of today, or at least I became privy to the information as of today, tariffs are likely to create product shortages and empty store shelves across America. Yes, as it's been told, many stores are beginning to see shortages. As it's been told, many businesses, retailers, are holding back on purchasing China products. And the reason is because of the tariff. It's just too expensive, they argue. And they're stating that the shortages will likely harken a time that we haven't forgotten, COVID. During COVID, we saw shortages of many different kinds. And many of those shortages still affect our day-to-day even now. I remember a time you could take your vehicle to the dealership and you might be able to get your vehicle back in a day. Now, you're looking at a week's time just to get your vehicle back on a simple fix, a battery change, tires maybe even. And I want to say that essentially it's a hustle. And the reason I'm saying it's a hustle is because I understand that many of these companies are often trying to find ways to increase the prices of their products. And because it's all about supply and demand, the less supply and the more demand you have, the more prices go up. And businesses like to play and hustle that game. No business wants to make less money year over year. So if they can take advantage of your fear regarding tariffs, if they can take advantage of your fear and then you run to the stores and start stockpiling before everybody else gets to the store, why not? So you can pay more prices than you would normally pay for the same things you enjoy. It's kind of exhausting. But I want to say it's interesting because just yesterday, as I mentioned, I was talking about people who finance their groceries. Just think about the fact that if there's a shortage due to tariffs, someone who's financing their groceries could just mosey on up to the store, place items in the cart, get to the cash register, hit that affirm button, and pay later. And you may say, well, I don't want to do anything like that because I have the cash. I go and put the cash down and I get my product. But you're competing with people who can use buy now, pay later now. And obviously, it's the people who are most affected by things like tariffs, poor people, average Americans. And so here we are with the tariff conversation going on, and it's saying in this article that I'm looking at, it's going to hit the Americans' pockets in a major way. I want to read some of this article. Essentially, it says at the current rate, a U.S.-based company would have to pay at least $145 in tariff fees to Customs and Border Protection to import an item valued at $100, except for electronics and pharmaceuticals, which are leveled at a lower rate. That fee could wipe out any profit a company would be making and force it to sell its products at a loss or raise prices to levels that consumers might not be willing to pay. Obviously, you know, the thing about business is you're always going to have competition. And a part of that is that sometimes because you want to get your products from China, you're going to lose to people who are domestic producers in times like this. I mean, the truth of the matter is we should have been less involved and less reliant on China for our products. We should have gotten off that train a long time ago. But I get it. Businesses wanted cheap labor. So they wanted to go to places like China. They wanted cheap labor. That's really what it was. The wealthy said to themselves, Americans, they really painted this massive lie. Americans don't want these jobs. Americans are lazy. And they went to places like China and they started using that population who would work for much less and produce much more. And that's a part of what economies do that are powerful. Eventually, you get out of that process of making your own stuff because you've made so much and you're enjoying the luxuries of life. Domestically, you begin to say, how can we profit more? How can we expand? How can we make more and more and more? Well, what we can do is we can go to these other countries that are less fortunate and we can pump our operations out of there and sell domestically and elevate the living standards of those in other countries over time. And it sounded great, but ultimately, as we see with China, what it did was put us in jeopardy. We saw during COVID that many of the drugs that we needed were tied to China. We had too many things that we could not do in a pivotal moment in American and world history. When the pandemic occurred, we couldn't even make masks and ventilators quick enough, all these different things to protect ourselves. We couldn't do it fast enough. And now with the tariffs, it's like, shouldn't we have learned businesses that we shouldn't be so reliant on China? But no, they didn't want to shut those operations down because they want the cheap labor to make their products so they can sell it to us. And we, as the people of the United States of America, that's not a real deep. We, as the people of the United States of America, should be mindful where we spend our money, because ultimately, shouldn't we be spending our money with people, with businesses in particular, that elevate the living standards of Americans, promote jobs in America? I think so. But I understand that this is a global world. And for so long, companies have been able to benefit from cheap labor globally. And we've been able to benefit from the products being made in these other places, and we get them cheaper. But now with the tariffs in place, these things are shifting. And another thing I want to outline, and I talked about this before, which is this tariff war isn't a war any longer. It's more like a tug of war. And I saw a few headlines recently saying tug of war, and I swear People in mass media have been taking my fucking word. They've been watching me. At least I like to believe so. But you never know. Sometimes people watch people and they take their stuff. It is what it is. But anyway, it's a tug of war. And in spite of, no, let me say it this way. It is a tug of war, but what's going on is the media likes to get you riled up and put you in a place of fear so you can react and you can go spend money quickly and buy the things and stockpile because you're going to run out, all these different things, all these different topics. But I want you to know, just like we got through the pandemic, we'll get through the tariffs. Isn't it funny how we just keep getting through things? We got through 9/11. We got through the war in Iraq, in Afghanistan. We got through the 2008 housing crisis, crash. We got through the pandemic, people. You're going to be fine. Don't stress it. Just keep loving on your family, loving yourself, loving your community, doing what you need to do on a daily basis and take care of your mental health. It's going to be just fine. If you're waiting for the crash to come, it ain't coming. The wealthy are not losing right now. They're winning. So if they're winning, America is going to be just fine. There are going to be some losers. And generally, we know who the losers are. It's the regular, everyday, average Joe like you and I. So we get that. That's where the crashes happen, not for them. So don't let them get you in a place. Continue to stay focused on what you need to stay focused on. You'll be just fine. But anyhow, share your thoughts in the comment section. Maybe you're fearful and you're seeing in your neighborhood, in your community, shelves are already empty, or shelves have been empty really since the pandemic. Things really haven't rebounded. Who knows where you live and what you're seeing. But please share it in the comment section. Also, as always, please like, share, and subscribe. And until next time.